Welcome to this installment of the Keeping Your Business Healthy series. My name is Pat Hammond, and I'm the director of the New Hampshire Business Guild. Today, I'm joined by business strategist and supply chain expert, Dr. Cynthia Kalanick-Kaminsky, president of Process and Strategy Solutions. In the last episode, we looked at how to implement rapid planning to vet new ideas for products or services. Today, we're talking about the decision-making process that goes into determining how much you can produce, when you can deliver, and which customer is your priority when your production is not operating at peak. And that last one is particularly important right now when companies have to factor in not only retooling their production line to a new in-demand product, but reduce their workforce to handle 6-foot social distancing and consider the very real possibility that part of their experienced workforce will either become sick or be forced to stay home to care for a child or relative who has become sick. This is a lot of change for companies that rely on regular processes and routines to maximize output. And for those of us in the service industry, don't worry, the exact same rules that Cynthia is sharing today apply to you. Cynthia?
Thank you, Pat. Today we're going to dive into some problem areas that are quite common now but become absolute nightmares in times of emergency. Today's case study, our business has set up an assembly line to make personal protective equipment, also called PPE. Now, this is for the healthcare providers. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to correctly determine how much of a single PPE product is required by who, in what time, as well as what can realistically be delivered. The problem that keeps getting in our way is that business often states every customer is number one. This means we're constantly changing what the business must achieve, which ends up being based on the last customer call. As you can imagine, this creates total chaos and frustration. Stated another way, if everything is priority one, nothing is a priority. Customers quickly learn that they can alter orders on a whim and send us running. But what can be done? Well, in these few minutes, you'll discover how database decision making leads to rules that are easy to implement and keep you on target. Just a quick note, this entire case study and all the numbers are fabricated, but the lessons and concepts are very real. To begin, the business in our study recognized that someone has to make a decision to calm the chaos, and they start by answering the questions that we uncovered last session. First, who are the real customers? In this case, the company did not want to deal with the hospitals directly due to the potential for orders to be changed or possible expediting a product between the hospitals in order to get the product to where it's needed. Best leave distribution to the states. Just one person per state is dealt with, making life a lot easier for the business. Second, the business needs to know how much product each state truly needs. That means someone inside our business must be responsible for getting that information. Since sales holds the relationship, sales is the obvious choice. It's now responsible for making sure the state forecast numbers are good, for keeping the forecasts updated, and for communicating forecasts and weekly changes into the business. Only sales is now allowed to adjust the sales forecast because they own it. The resulting sales forecast looks like this in its raw form. For the study, pretend that today's date is February 8th, and we're looking at the upcoming multi-week forecast. Notice that we can only make 2,000 units per week, yet most of these weeks are showing way over 2,000 in need. So what to do? Which state gets how much? Should the business supply the most states possible? That means starting with the smallest order and working up in the order size. More orders are filled that way, however, there is more shipping cost. Or should the business start with the biggest order and then work its way down until it runs out of product? Each delivery is larger, but mid-sized and smaller orders will probably be ignored. Perhaps since this product is in high demand, the business should let states compete against each other, bidding up the price. The answer each business chooses is based on its strategy and the image it wants. What if our study business decided if less than 2,000 units are needed, fill all orders? Every customer is going to be happy. Well, this is, of course, the easiest of the two decisions to make. If more than 2,000 units are ordered, then a proportion of the 2,000 units is delivered based on the order sizes. The sales team will communicate the final delivery numbers internally as well as externally to the state customers. Using these rules, sales now begins to adjust their orders. The first week is easy. The business makes and moves everything that's ordered. But the second week, it's 30 units over and no overtime is not allowed. The business created a calculation just for this scenario, and you'll see it in just a minute. Using it, the forecast is now reworked. No one gets a full order except for the smallest of orders, and that's just the way the math worked out in this case. You can see the bottom total that before there was round off error, and now it's at 2,000. Sales made sure that all the delivery numbers are divisible by 5 because that's the way we need to package. The full manipulated forecast looks like this. Since the larger orders are not being filled completely, sales contacts the states to let them know how many units will come in starting the last week of February. While shorted states are not going to be happy, because trust has already been established, because what is delivered is what was promised, the customers can now confidently evaluate the real options on the table. Supplemental orders from other suppliers may be made, or nothing may be done in the hopes that the actual need is smaller than what they're planning on. This is a bit much to hope for looking at those later weeks. Order fulfillment is looking pretty bad at this point. That means the executives may be discussing putting on a second shift or overtime or creating more assembly lines. However, that's for the future. We have to deal with the here and now. So we've got this forecast, but remember our original problem that customers were still coming in and changing things because we wanted to make sure we were responsive to them. How in the world does the business end the chaos and stop the constant order change? This business chose to contract out for trucking of product to end destination. To figure this out, we have to look at some of the decisions that were made. This particular business, it made the decision to contract out for trucking in order to get the product to the end destination. If a change is made that affects a trucking contract or the raw materials, the quantities that we need in order to make the new numbers, our contractors and suppliers, well, they may not be able to react quickly enough to the changes we want. The time they need, called the lead time, is the time in which no changes should be allowed. We call that time the frozen time, and there are rules for it. This particular study's frozen time is 2 weeks. Yours is going to be different. It depends on how you run your business, your suppliers, your contracts, all of those other pieces. Understand that frozen means no one, not even the CEO, can change any number inside of the frozen zone. Now, outside the zone, sure, there's some play, but inside the zone, no play. Just this one small change, creating a frozen zone, removes much of the chaos that many businesses currently experience, whether you're a service business or a manufacturing business. It's not easy to stick to this rule, but it does get easier over time as you start to make your shipments, as chaos is eliminated, and as morale increases. The rule for making changes outside the frozen zone is that yes, adjustments can be made as long as they do not violate how the business serves its customers. For example, say around February 1st, the business noticed the low delivery week of 605 units in mid-Feb. Decisions could be made to build out 2,000 units and shelve the extras for later. Because that decision was made outside the frozen zone, purchasing has enough time to get in raw materials, and logistics has enough time to create contracts. In short, you want to make sure that you're making database decisions. You follow the rules that you create to best serve your customers, and you don't move the target while expecting goals to be met. Make it easy for customers to trust your word and for your employees to live in a less chaotic workplace. If Pat and I can help you eliminate chaos, please sign up for a session with us at aligningstrategy.com.
Thank you for attending this installment of Keeping Your Business Healthy series. If you have questions about this offer or have a topic suggestion for a future video, you can reach me at success@nhbusinessguild.com, or Cynthia can be reached at success@processstrategysolutions.com. And don't forget, you can find all the handouts and other videos from this series at aligningstrategy.com.